Thank you very much for watching. I have another video reviewing the Panasonic LX5 that is almost ready. I'll be honest, the review was almost ready. I had about 75% of it finished, but then I got a new job and that took up all of my time from that point. I had planned to finish and upload it, but as you know, life gets in the way sometimes and there's not much you can do about that. I'm really surprised at how well the G3 review did. I was only expecting like a couple hundred views on it total, but that number just kept climbing and climbing over the days and weeks and months, and it was amazing. There were some really lovely comments from people that had used the G3 or had recently bought one, and it was great to see how many people actually remembered using this little piece of history. I just want to thank you all so much for watching that video. It really did make me a happy man. But I'm back now, and I'm ready to finish what I started so long ago. This is the Panasonic LX5, a 2022 review. I spoke briefly about the LX5 in my G3 review, saying that I loved it and how it became my daily shooter. It was the first digital compact camera that I actually sought out to buy. I was in the market for a smaller camera that I could have with me at all times, since I'm not a fan of the camera on my phone, and my GH4 with a lens and a bag and batteries and all that was just too big to be lugging around with me all the time. After a lot of searching and looking through many reviews, I landed on this amazing little guy. The Panasonic LX5 was released back in 2010 and was the fourth in the line of LX branded cameras from Panasonic. This line started in 2005 with the LX1 and was the first digital compact camera to release with a widescreen 16:9 aspect ratio sensor, a big leap forward from the traditional 4:3 ratio cameras that came before it. The LX line was made in partnership with Leica, who made their own line of digital compacts, branded as the C-Lux and D-Lux line that shared much of its DNA with its Panasonic counterparts. I would love to cover all of the LX branded cameras in a video, but for now, it's just going to be the LX5 today. Plus, that would be hella expensive, so I'm putting that on the long finger for now. Now, right off the bat, the size of this camera is just perfect. It's small enough that it could be easily carried around in a bag or a pocket, while not too small that it's awkward to hold. I can imagine someone with bigger hands that might have an issue with its size, but honestly, it's a non-issue for me. This camera is approaching 12 years old this year, but it really doesn't feel like that at all. When I reviewed the Canon PowerShot G3, I remarked that, while it was still a nice camera that's plenty usable nowadays, there were certain features and design choices that just didn't age well, and made it feel like it was from its time. The LX5 doesn't feel like that at all. It has stood the test of time and is still a great camera. It has a 10 megapixel 1/1.63 inch CCD sensor with a 24 to 90mm equivalent zoom lens that goes from f2 to f3.3. It has a small wheel on the back for changing your exposure and aperture settings, a fixed 3-inch LCD screen, a small little connection port under the hot shoe for attaching an optional viewfinder, and a switch on top of the lens to change the aspect ratio of your photos, from 1:1, 16:9, 4:3, 3:2, etc. It takes regular SD and micro SD cards, which is a lot more convenient than the big CF cards of the G3. It has all of the modes that you'd expect on a camera, like aperture and shutter priority modes, manual modes, auto modes. It has 2 programmable custom modes as well, and a video mode. So, as you could probably tell, the video mode on this camera is alright. It's decent for its time. It shoots in 720p. Oh, there's my dog. Shoots in 720p. The contrast is actually quite good. Quality's okay. Obviously, as you can see, it's fully auto. There's no manual settings on this video mode at all, so you kind of have to rely on the automatic exposure to sort of kick in and do everything for you. There's my dog again. But for its time, for a little camera like this, it's good. Now onto the main event. How does this little guy handle when taking photos? I was absolutely blown away by the photos that this camera can take. The image quality is great, the colours come out brilliant, and being able to shoot in RAW is awesome for a camera this size. The RAW file straight out of camera looked really good, but did require some processing and editing in Lightroom to really make them shine. Having a camera of this size to bring with you anywhere really helped me unlock my creativity and not be hampered by the size and lenses of bigger SLR or mirrorless cameras. I could see a photo opportunity and the LX5 would be well capable of capturing what I wanted. Now obviously the files from this camera wouldn't stand up to the RAW files of a bigger or newer camera, so don't expect to be doing any crazy day for night edits or anything like that, but that's not what this camera was designed for. It's designed to be able to give the shooter the opportunity to shoot what they want and to edit it the way that they want. Within reason, of course. Doing any hard edits can cause noise to become present in the picture, but are not a big deal as long as you don't get too carried away. The camera has a base ISO of 100, but I mainly shoot at ISO 200 to give myself a bit more light sensitivity. I wouldn't go above ISO 200 though, due to the noise levels increasing the higher you go, due to the size and age of the sensor. Let's talk about the pros and the cons of this little beast. First, the pros. The size and versatility of the LX5 is just fantastic. It gives you the tools that you need to take stunning photos without hampering you with size or the need for additional lenses. Just like the G3, the addition of a wheel for changing aperture and shutter just makes taking photos so much easier. The fast aperture of the lens is also a big plus. Going from f2 to f3.3 is a manageable change in aperture when zoomed in and won't result in any massive changes in exposure. Having the ability to quickly change the aspect ratio is also so convenient. Having a physical button to change them without having to navigate through a menu is a great addition. The zoom and autofocus work well too. Not lightning fast, but certainly not slow either. And now for the cons. I honestly don't have that many. I'd call these more nitpicks than actual cons, but I'll list them anyways. Having a fixed LCD screen can make shooting low shots quite tricky. You either have to get down real low with the camera or adjust your head to an awkward position to be able to see what you're shooting. This issue can be mitigated by buying the optional eye-level viewfinder, but I found the prices for these nowadays to be very expensive, so unless you really want an eye-level viewfinder, I'd give this a miss. And honestly, that's it. That's all the cons that I have. The LX5 wasn't my first digital compact camera, and it certainly won't be my last, but it was the first one that honestly amazed me with how capable it is even 12 years after it was released. I'd put this toe-to-toe with my GH4 and any modern camera nowadays. I've even brought this camera with me on shoots and on holidays more than my GH4. This camera comes highly recommended from me. You should definitely pick one up if you're in the market for a camera to shoot with that won't break the bank and will give you stunning results. If you've made it to the end, thank you so much for watching. It felt really good to return to making video reviews again, especially after the success of the first one. I won't make any promises on when the next one will be coming, but it will certainly be a lot sooner this time around.